Yo, what's up, everybody? We are live. My name is Ahmed Ahmed. This is my co-host, Blake Bartee.
How's it going?
What's up? We're here doing our first, well, technically reboot of Hollywood Tales. I'll give you the backstory. Basically, I started a podcast with my good friend Eric Mills out of Chicago. It was a virtual podcast that we did during the pandemic. We called it Hollywood Tales. We just wanted people to share their best Hollywood tale. And you'd be shocked how many crazy stories came out of those interviews. And then he got busy and started a job, and we shelved the podcast there for a little bit. And when I started working here at the Jam in the Van space, they built this new podcast studio, and they invited me to come in and host a podcast. So this is our first pilot episode here at Jam. We're excited to be here. Our first guest is rock legend, old pal of mine, Tom Morello. You know him from Audio Slave, Rage Against the Machine, The Night Watchman. Currently, he's producing and releasing all these collaborations with artists with his new Atlas Underground, and the Flood, and the whole nine. So we're going to talk to him about that. And we'll bring him in a few minutes, but I just wanted to kind of ease into this, introduce my co-host. Blake and I met a few months back in Huntington Beach at this show I was producing at a place called Sea Legs on the beach. We would do it every Friday. It was outdoors. It was on the beach, right there on the water. 500 people every week would show up. We've had Jeff Ross and Bill Burr and Tiffany Haddish and Adam Carolla, and I'm name dropping a lot of names, but they all came through there during the pandemic, and we were doing outdoor. I think technically illegal stand-up comedy.
No, not in Orange
Prohibition comedy, yeah. Not in Orange County, because COVID never came to Orange County. It was never there. But a little bit about myself, if you're not familiar with me, I've been in the business almost 30 years. I started out as an actor. I played a lot of terrorists and cab drivers and sleazy Arab princes, and I was the go-to terrorist for a good 10 years of my career. And a little fun fact, I played a terrorist in the movie Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie, which coincidentally Tom Morello had a part in. And we'll talk about that when we bring him on. Did you know he was an Iron Man?
No, I didn't know.
A lot of people don't know. Mr. Morello was in the first. He helped kickstart the Marvel Universe. And then I transitioned into stand-up comedy just to have a voice. I did everything that comics are supposed to do and still do, and continually writing and producing and trying to perfect my stories and jokes. And it was cool to meet up with you, Blake, because you were just kind of starting out when we met. And I see a lot of myself in you like 20 years ago.
Nice.
Like I was really passionate and wanted to like get up every night and go out and hustle it. And now I just don't have that drive. But tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into stand-up and where your origins are from and everything. I know you were ex-military as well, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, I was born and raised Long Beach area. Moved a lot. Kind of was like a class clown growing up. Just being in so many different schools, you kind of just had to try and get along with everybody.
And you went to different schools because of what?
We just moved a lot.
Just moved a lot.
Single mom,
Yeah.
so we were all over the place. Yeah, I always wanted to do stand-up, but I was kind of scared, so I went and pursued a career. I was actually a DJ, break dancer through high school.
Break dancer?
Yeah, 23, I started considering different lifestyle choices. I sold my turntables, and then I joined the Air Force, the reserves, and then, because I got commitment issues and whatnot. And then I went active duty from there. I was a medic. Basically, now I work in the medical field, doing CAT scans and whatnot.
And then stand-up comedy you're pursuing, pretty actively these days.
Yeah, every week I'm up on the stage doing stand-up.
What? Tell us your best Hollywood tale.
That's probably just going out. We would go out like 4 nights a week when I was DJing. I'd be down here. We'd be at I remember one time I got bumped into really hard and spilled my drink. It was Jason Biggs from American Pie.
Mm-hmm.
And he was...
Did he...
He said sorry. He was really nice. No, he like... He hit me, dropped my drink, and then he was like, "Oh, sorry, dude." He was wilding out on the dance floor, and then basically he bought our whole group shots and did shots with us and just hung out and kind of
So
partied.
you gotta bump into those American Pie actors to get free drinks around here.
Basically,
That's your best Hollywood tale.
I guess, yeah, at the moment.
Well, we have many podcasts in front of us, so I'm sure you'll have more. Just a quick reminder: we're here from at Jam in the Van, right here in West LA, beautiful West LA. This is a very cool sort of multiplex with outdoor venue, indoor venue. They have a tour bus that they've converted into a recording studio. So bands come in here and they stream live and record stuff. Stand-up comedy was just alive and kicking here during the pandemic. And if I'm correct, this is an ex-rehab, Jack? This is an ex-rehab center, so it's perfect that comedians are here and musicians and artists. And a big thanks to all the guys and gals here at Jam in the Van. There's an awesome staff working here behind the scenes. Jack Higgins over here, our creative director. We got Wolf Ramirez, our videographer and editor. The two Jakes, Trainer and Kotler, owner and manager. And am I missing anybody? There's a whole awesome staff of gals working in the back, interning and doing stuff. And Sierra Nevada, they're sponsors, and they're Timeless is the other sponsor. Timeless dispensary, weed dispensary, I believe. And it's an awesome space. So go to jaminthevan.com. Check out their upcoming shows. It's music, comedy. It's kind of, like I said, a whole awesome multiplex of different sorts of artists. I have a Hollywood story I'm going to tell. I auditioned for The Tonight Show back in 2008. And Bob Reed and Ross Mark, who used to book The Tonight Show, had asked me to come and showcase for them at the Melrose Improv in Hollywood. And it was on a Monday night, and and I think they still do it. D. Ray Davis hosts it. It's called Mo Better Mondays, and it's predominantly a black urban crowd, which I wasn't aware of. And here I am trying to do this Tonight Show, clean Tonight Show set. And the bookers were like, hey, when you go up on stage, you're going to go first. Don't take the mic out of the stand and just do your 4.5 minutes. I'm like, all right. So D. Ray Davis introduces me. I go up on stage. The crowd's just kind of chatty. They're not really paying attention. I threw out my first joke, silence. Threw out my second joke, crickets. Threw out my third joke, some woman from the back of the room yells out, say something funny, motherfucker. And then the whole crowd started booing me. And I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was still kind of like new in the game, and I didn't know how to handle this. And I finally just said, all right, guys, I feel like a substitute teacher. And I just said, thank you very much. And I walked off stage. And D. Ray Davis went up on stage and like ridiculed the audience. You stupid motherfuckers. That's my boy Ahmed Ahmed. He's the guy who gave me stage time when I first got to LA. And he's showcasing for the Tonight Shows, you dumb shits. And why didn't you give him a chance? And he like protected me and was yelling at the audience, like ridiculing them on my behalf. And I was like, oh, it's cool. I didn't want to start a riot at the Improv. But I went in the hallway, and the two bookers from The Tonight Show were there, and I looked at them with just complete sadness and shame. And I said, I'm really sorry, I bombed up there. And Ross Mark was like, oh, no, you didn't. And Bob Reed was like, yeah, you bombed. Yeah. So, and I was like, can I make it up to you? So they were kind enough to follow me up to the Comedy Store, which I had a lot of leverage there back then. And I asked the club if I can go up on stage for 10 minutes or 5 minutes, I think it was, to do another showcase for the Tonight Show guys. And that's what hooked me into the Tonight Show. Nice. Had I stuck with that Melrose Improv set, I probably would have never gotten booked on the Tonight Show. So that's one of my Hollywood tales. More to come as we continue weekly here from the Jam in the Van podcast studios in West LA. I'm going to bring, are we close to, we have, I guess the time is now.
Let's do it.
Every week we're going to have cool different guests come on. I was really fortunate to have our first guest say yes, because he's super, super busy right now. I met this guy many, many years ago. We'll talk about it when he jumps on, about how we met and how we stayed friends all these years. Talk about his career a little bit, what happened during COVID, what he did during COVID, what's going on with him now. And it is my pleasure, privilege, honor, and delight to bring up and introduce my old pal, rock legend, Mr. Tom Morello, everybody. Hey, what's up, buddy? Can you hear me? Check, check. Can we hold on, Tom? We're having a little technical difficulty here.
1 second.
1 second, please. Sorry, everybody out there. It's our first time doing this. Let's see. Can you take your headphones off, Tom? And unplug them? Let's try that. Still cannot hear him. Hold
Just
on.
has him muted. Hit unmute.
That's
can you-
me. That was
There
all
we go. There we go.
my Hollywood tale is how I didn't understand how to be on Hollywood Tales. That's my Hollywood tale. I'm going to go back to the headphones. Sorry, I was muted.
I didn't realize you were muted. I was like,
Yeah, that was
we're
my.
having problems.
I was trying to spare you guys all my calls to like with my 98-year-old mom. But like, no, it's like if you want to watch the NBA wrap up, it's on channel. That's what's happening. Anyway, nice to see you guys. I'm here. What's up?
Good to see you, buddy. Tom Morello, everybody.
How's it
In the
going?
flesh, in the virtual flesh.
Yeah.
Hey, I know you're busy, so just wanted to say thanks for making time to come on this first podcast. This is our pilot episode. They built a little studio for us, and
I
should
like
be
it.
a fun little thing to do. I saw that you were doing a lot of virtual podcasts and just virtual stuff during the pandemic. So my first thing was like, I'm going to ask Tom to be the first person because
Yeah.
he's doing it already.
Yeah. It was a way to just sort of maintain sanity during an insane time. Like I have literally no desire to be. I've never listened to a podcast. I've done them. I have a
Right.
podcast, and they tell me it's good, but I've never listened. I've never listened to a podcast myself, nor do I intend to. I'm going to do this one. I'm not going to listen to it, but I'm sure it's going to be. I'm sure it's going to be great.
Well, there are a lot of podcasts out there right now. I mean, there's
So
like,
I hear.
yeah, so you're here, including yours. Let's just rewind a little bit. I want to tell everybody who's watching live, and this will live on YouTube eventually. But you and I met through a mutual friend many years ago.
Yeah.
On our way to a Supercross event.
Yes, correct.
So, little fun fact: Tom Morello and myself have a mutual, very dear best friend. His name is Vince Vaughn. He's an actor.
Mhm.
And right after the movie Swingers came out, he had this big clunky like Bronco, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's right.
And we all piled into this Bronco, and I had just met Tom, I believe, that night through
Yeah.
another mutual friend, Sean Rosigliano.
Yep.
And we're driving down the highway, and I'm sitting next to Tom, and I'm like, oh, so what do you do? And he said, well, I play in a band. I'm a musician. And I was like, oh, cool. What do you do? I said, I'm a stand-up comedian. Oh, cool. And we just started talking, and I was asking you like what kind of music you play. You were super nonchalant about it, which I was impressed about later because most people you meet are a little bit like aloof, with their art and craft. But you were like super down to earth. And then you told me you played with Rage, and I was like, oh shit, I work out to your music almost every day.
And I'm like, that's why you're so ripped, bro.
That's why back then, not these days, but yeah. So that's how Tom and I met. And I think that's when Rage was really starting to peak, and you'd always invite me to your shows and stuff, and we became really close friends. And it's just a treat to watch you be so progressive in the music industry. Moving forward, people that know Tom, Rage Against the Machine, Audio Slave, Lock Up, which was your first band, I think.
My first band, yep.
I mean, what made you pick up the guitar and want to start playing rock and roll music?
Well, I mean, I always loved, from the time I was 11, 12 years old, loved rock and roll music, but it seemed like it was something that was pretty unattainable. My favorite bands were like bands like Led Zeppelin, sort of the big hard rock bands, and, these kind of mythical Kiss and bands like that. They were kind of like these mythical people. And it seemed like there was such a gulf between who I was in a damp basement in a small Midwestern town and someone like, Jimmy Page, who has a castle on a Scottish loch, or, Gene Simmons, who has, limousines filled with groupies and, breathing fire. Like those things, those things didn't seem like they were like around the corner for me. Right. And for me, it really was like punk rock music. It was bands like the Sex Pistols and the Clash, where the music felt it was just as powerful to me, but you could do it later on that afternoon. And that was really sort of my entry drug to actually performing music. And that got my foot in the door, that it felt like the bar was a lot lower to entry, but the music the music resonated with the same kind of power to me. So I didn't start playing guitar till I was 17 years old. And I had never heard of another guitarist who had made albums who started playing that late, except for one. And that was Robert Johnson, the famous blues guitar player. And he had to sell his soul to the devil to get good. He started 18 years old. And given my Catholic background, I wasn't going to be selling my soul to the devil, but so I just had to practice my ass off.
Nice.
Is your middle name really Baptist?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, I didn't know that. And I've known you.
Does that sound like a stage name or something like that?
It kind of does.
Yeah.
I for some reason I just never knew that, and then I just was checking out your Wikipedia, and I was like, oh, I wonder if that's like a
my grandfather's name is John Baptist Morello, so I got his middle name.
Love it. And then some other influences were Run DMC. You know, some of
Sure. Well, I was always drawn to like hard music. At first, it was metal, then it was punk, and then it was hip hop. And and all those, like a lot of friends when they started liking punk, they stopped liking metal, or when they started liking hip hop, they stopped liking punk. I always brought all of them along, and it was like I was never kind of like too discerning when it came to that. Like I can like both Motley Crue and Fugazi, and I like them both, and for each of the things that they give me, and I don't have to turn my back on one in order to enjoy another one. And so those influences all sort of stayed with me, and I tried to sort of bring them along, throughout my career.
Okay, so that brings me to my next question, and moving forward, Atlas Underground, like every influence you just mentioned, it's all intertwined in there. Sure.
So over the course of, I have a studio here at my house, as you can see, Ahmed, but I don't know how to work it. So there's normally an engineer who sits here and does the knob twiddling while I play music over there. The only knob they ever let me touch is the volume knob, and that rarely. So during lockdown, there was no engineer coming. So for the first 4 months of like lockdown, I didn't touch a guitar. It was very sort of depressing. And then I read inspiration came from a very unlikely place. I read an article where Kanye West was bragging about the fact that he had recorded the vocals for a couple of his albums on the voice memo of his phone. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. So I just started recording guitar straight into the voice memo on my phone, and it sounded fantastic. I just started sending these voice memo texts and emails to various producers and other artists and whatnot. And that became the foundation of these two records, the Atlas Underground Fire and the Atlas Underground Flood. They're like sister records. But so during a time where I was completely alone and in isolation here, I had this kind of global network of rock and roll pen pals, including Bruce Springsteen and Eddie Vedder, Bring Me the Horizon, Fantagram, Chris Stapleton, Grandson, Mike Posner, Damian Marley, Palestinian DJ Sama Abdul Hadi. There's more. San Holo, Barnes Courtney, Nathaniel Rateliff, Ex-Ambassadors, Alex Lifeson of Rush, Kirk Hammett of Metallica, Manchester Orchestra, Ben Harper, Idols, Jim James of My Morning Jacket, and Rodrigo y Gabriela, the fantastic flamenco duo from Mexico. So anyway, that's how I stayed sane. That's how I kept busy, and both those records are out now. So
nice.
Well, they're really awesome, and it's so interesting because I was telling Blake, there's an aspect of you that's, obviously you're producing a lot of this stuff, right? Like, or a producer, whether it's technical or not, but like being able to gather those kind of artists together. That's a talent in itself. People want to say yes to you all the time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing that I love, I've played a lot of guitar in my life, but sort of my first and foremost artistic passion is like being a curator, and I like assembling things and going, okay, like I spend so much time, like Rain Man like time on, like here's the album sequence, and here, how does this song go into that one, and what two artists would be unlikely? Is it, to have Bring Me the Horizon, which is a heavy metal band from Brazil and the UK, and Bruce, iconic Jersey Bruce Springsteen, and young female Palestinian DJ Sama Abdul Hadi, all on, and country and western superstar Chris Stapleton, all on one record, and make it sound like a cohesive record. Like that to me is like the exciting and challenging, and it's more than just here's some hot riffs and some groovy guitar solos, which I enjoy as well.
Right. Well, I feel like your guitar playing is what intertwines it all. I mean, and some of the music, we were listening to some of it on the way over here. Some of it's and it's all over the map. Some of it could be a little country western, it could be a little hypnotic, trancey. Some of that sort of almost like a deep house with your guitar riffs behind it. One of the question I had for you was, some of the songs have a lot of like what it sounds like is synthesizing happening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that your guitar?
Yeah,
or
well,
is
that's,
it
I mean,
both?
the idea of these Atlas Underground, I made another Atlas Underground record in 2018. There was a collaborative effort
Yeah.
as well. And the idea is, like, I firmly believe that the electric guitar is the greatest instrument ever invented by humankind. I'm not prejudiced in that. I think there's empirical evidence to back that up. But I also believe that it's an instrument that has a future and not just a past.
Mm.
And by collaborating outside of sort of traditional rock and roll genres and having like my guitar voice, infusing it with some I want these songs to sound like you just don't know where the electronics end and the guitar begins, or where the
And you
guitar,
don't.
you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because my whole career has been spent making, R2D2 noises and barnyard animal noises. And so when you hear that stuff, combined with other which may or may not be electronic elements, it creates this kind of, the idea is to create this kind of synthesis, this alloy, that's a new way of hearing guitar. Because I don't think, it can't just be, Foghat and AC/DC songs forever. We already have those, and we should
Right.
enjoy those, and they're
Right.
fantastic, but that's not the future of electric guitar. It's going to be something different, and I'm trying to help forge that path.
Oh, you're not only helping forge it, it's almost you're really innovating it. I mean, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. It's and the fact that all the ships are rising because of you. You're really elevating people's careers. It's I remember Carlos Santana would collab with artists. and that
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
but you're doing like some next level shit, so it's really cool.
Thanks.
And I guess transitioning into guitar playing, if you're cool with it, let's talk about Roman for a second.
Yeah. My son, at 9 years old, at the height of lockdown, first of all, there's a lot of instruments around the house, and my children have no interest in playing them whatsoever. Like, make that perfectly clear. Like, that's like the dad's job is one that they could care less about. As a quick aside, I did a song with an artist named Grandson that was like sort of a big alternative song. And one day Roman was humming the song. Now, I've never played it for him. He was humming the song. I'm like, it's called Blood Water. I'm like, how do you know that? He's like, Dad, that's a big TikTok song. I'm like,
Oh wow.
I'm like, that's your dad on that. He's like, it is not. I'm like, one, I didn't know it was a big TikTok song, but I assure you that's me on that song. And he was like, that can't possibly be. You couldn't be on anything like TikTok. Anyway, but during lockdown, he's sort of a classic rock. He likes some classic rock stuff. And so, I've never really pushed it on him, let them find their own paths. But I said, every day we've got, say 24 hours where we have no idea what we're going to do. I said, do you want to learn the first 3 notes to Stairway to Heaven? He's like, well, I suppose I can get off my iPad for 10 minutes to, humor dear old dad.
Yeah.
And then he learned the first 3 notes, and it sounded just like the record. And so the next day he came back for the next 3 notes. And, in sort of building successes, he learned the whole song. Then he wanted to learn the solo. And he has a sort of a greater, I had to work really, really hard for every inch. He has a better ear than I do and a better aptitude for it. So it wasn't long before he was, wanting to learn Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, this one and that one, and then writing his own songs. And he did a collaboration with Nandi Bushell, who's a really, she's like an Instagram famous British Zulu drummer. She had this fantastic guitar or drum battle with Dave Grohl. And anyway, she contacted me. I sent her one of my guitars because she had covered a Rage or Audioslave song. And she contacted me and said, hey, do you want to do a song to you? I said, I would love to do a song to you, but I got a 9-year-old kid here who can kick my ass. Maybe you 2 youngsters should do a song. And they did a fantastic song called The Children Will Rise Up.
Yeah.
That we got Jack Black for the video and things like that. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was cool. And you did it, I guess, all with green screen and all, because it was. Oh, did we mute?
We lost.
Sorry, 1 second. I got just 1 second.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, sorry, I'm back.
No worries. Yeah, it looked like there was green screen with all the effects.
Yeah. It was all in lockdown. We were all on different continents doing this, but it was
that's wild.
It was really cool, really cool. And the kids, they wanted to do a song about, and saving the environment, how it's the children's. So, I mean, it felt like while it was not planned by me, like that apple has not fallen far from the tree. So,
well,
cool.
if you guys are watching, check out Roman Morello on Instagram. He's on TikTok as well.
Oops, the computer screen has frozen. Right.
Oh, frozen. He froze. Technical difficulties. Sorry, everybody. Stay tuned. We are frozen. Let's see if we
okay.
come back.
You're back.
Oh, you're
I'm
back.
sorry. There are some technical difficulties.
We got you.
Yep.
Can you hear us? It's freezing again.
Okay, I think we're back. Hello?
Okay.
I think we're
Yep.
back.
Are we back?
We're back.
That might have had something to do with it. Yep, okay.
I was
Sorry
just going to say follow Roman Morello on Instagram.
Yes,
There's a video of Tom and his son Roman sitting next to each other, and then the female TikTok voice comes on. Here's an amazing guitar player, and then Tom Morello.
and also Tom Morello.
And also Tom Morello. And your son is
I've been relegated, like I'm the rhythm guitarist in the family now. Like that's what it's come to.
Bro, he's like shredding like Eddie Van Halen, and he's like, you said he's 9,
awesome.
10 years old.
He's 10 now, but he was 9.
Wild, man.
Yeah.
Kudos to him.
It's awesome.
And then you're on. So Atlas Underground Flood is out now.
Yeah, that's the record that just came out. It's basically a sister record. Like I was really inspired by the band The Clash, and their record London Calling was a record that had was a singular purpose, but was genre fluid. You know what I mean? Like embracing a lot of different genres, but with sort of a single idea. And so so the Atlas Underground, Fire and Flood are kind of sister records, and the Flood just came out now.
That's awesome. Well, check it out if you guys are listening. And let's talk about your the charity that you want to.
Sure. So the charity that is involved in today's podcast is Jail Guitar Doors. It's a charity that was founded by Wayne Kramer, who's the guitarist for the legendary MC5. That's the Kick Out the Jams band. One of like the people who invented punk rock music. Anyway, Wayne's been a friend for a long time. And what Jail Guitar Doors does is they provide instruments for inmates in prisons as rehabilitation tools. And it really it dramatically impacts the recidivism rate by about 60% for inmates who are involved in these kind of arts and corrections programs. And they have over in 160 different correctional facilities in the United States. They have programs that help inmates kind of a different way to sort of process your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions in non-confrontational ways. And it's a really, really Wayne himself was in prison for 3 years. And so he speaks with a very authoritative voice and how art and music has been very redemptive in his life. And, he's sort of doing service to the world by helping other people get on that path. So Jail Guitar Doors, I've had the opportunity to perform with Wayne in prisons a number of times, including Sing Sing prison and some crazy Texas correctional facility. It was super terrifying, but it's a really, really great charity that does a lot. Because here's things 98% of the people who are in prison are one day going to be back out in the world, sitting next to you in a movie theater at a lunch counter, and they can either come out with with bitterness and hatred, or they can come out with a song in their hearts. So let's try to make it the latter. jailguitardoors.org is a place you can go to find out more information, or I believe this podcast is providing some.
Yeah, so jailguitardoors.org. Are we in the comments here, Jack? If you go to the comment section here on YouTube, the link is there. Please donate. There's a segue and a part 2 of this podcast. As soon as we wrap up right before 4 o'clock, we are going to swap over to Fireside. Fireside is an app that you can download on your iPhone or iOS device. And I think the Fireside link is up there in the YouTube comments. Click on that. You can donate directly to Tom's organization, jailguitardoors.org. Give whatever you want, $1, $100, $1,000. But the cool thing about this is when we swap over to Fireside, Tom has agreed to talk to the first 10 people that donate a minimum of $100 to this charity of his. So jailguitardoors.org, but download the Fireside app at 4 o'clock sharp. We will invite Tom Morello back onto this platform. Anybody can listen, anybody can donate, but the first 10 to sign up and donate a minimum of $100 can ask Tom Morello a question. You get 1 minute with Tom Morello. Does that sound fair? I think that sounds fair.
It sounds fair. I mean, it's really like open season, though. You have no idea what kind of questions you get when you do this, so we'll find out.
Well, we have just while you're here for just the average listener. Joe Urell had a question.
Yeah, our good buddy, comedian Joe Urell wanted to know if you've ever considered doing a cover of the Irish labor song Molly Maguire's.
I'm familiar with that song. I haven't considered it until now, but now I'm considering it.
Yeah, as the Night Watchman, of course.
Yes, the Night Watchman, of course. Yeah. That's nice. That's right up his alley.
That's great.
Yeah.
A couple technical questions from a big fan of yours. They want to know how Michelangelo Bateo and Matt Bellamy influenced you.
Okay, well, for those of you who don't know, and it may be many of you who don't know this, is Michelangelo Batio or Batio.
Yeah.
I was a 17-year-old guitarist in Northern Illinois, and I would occasionally go down to one of the local shops in the next town to take guitar lessons. And my guitar teacher was like this really nice stoner guy named Rick, and I would have him teach me an Alice Cooper song or a Black Sabbath song or whatever. But one day he was out sick, so they sent me to the other guitar teacher, the guy down the hallway. And this guy, nice fella, seemed to smoke less weed than my guy, so it was nice. It was a little nicer in there. And he said, "Play me something." So I kind of scrabbed around. He's like, "It sounds like you want to play fast, but you have no idea how to do it." I said, "Guilty as charged." So then I looked over, and this guy just started playing guitar, and it was like a concert violinist. The fluidity he had on the instrument, the technical mastery he had on the instrument was like supernatural. I mean, like I'd never seen anything like it. And this guy's just a dude down the hallway. And he wrote out this little sheet of paper with exercises. He said, there's no magic trick to it. You practice this stuff slowly, and as you master it, you get faster and faster, and then you'll be able to. And that piece of paper changed my life. And it's the thing that when I was practicing 8 hours a day, it was a cornerstone of all those practices. Later, when I was a guitar teacher, many years later, I was a guitar teacher in Hollywood. That same piece of paper I sort of passed on to generations of students, and that was Michelangelo. Now he then became a famous guitar player. He is known for, and if you look this guy up, you'll think that it is some CGI miracle that's happening. He plays the guitar with 4 necks. Okay, there's 2 going this way and 2 going this way like that.
Jeez.
And he plays all of them like simultaneously with equal facility.
Jeez.
Like a concert pianist, like this one's upside down, this one, and he's playing harmonies, and it's Bach, and it's this, and it's metal, and it's so crazy.
Wow.
It's like a circus act, Cirque du Soleil of guitar. Anyway, so that guy gave me one guitar lesson that changed my life. Matt Bellamy is a guy who came along decades later, and who I had the chance to meet. He's the guitarist of Muse, and they're a fantastic band. And I can hear, perhaps Rage and Audioslave are some of his influences. And I think he's a guitar player that's very forward-facing and is an important voice in pushing the guitar forward. Great dude, nice fellow as well.
Yeah, no, they're great. I saw Muse open for you guys in I think Vegas.
Sure.
Remember that baseball stadium?
Yeah.
We were like sitting right on not on the stage, but kind of off to the left, and I don't know, 80,000 people were there, and the stage was physically like moving up and down from all the people jumping up and down. They were literally rocking the planet. Same guy, Niv Adut, friend of mine, works with me. His other question was, and I guess you kind of already talked about this. Your thoughts on the future of amp modeling?
The future, yeah. I have thoughts. So he's going to be very disappointed in my answer, in his point of answer to this one. There are a lot of guitar players, and there are many really, really good guitar players that care about gear. I am not one of them. I've had the same amp and the same pedals since 1988.
Oh, wow.
And I'm not going to change them. Amp modeling, what that is, for those of you who don't know, it's like a way to like a computer program or an app or something like that really accurately imitates specific amp sounds. So like I want the amp sound of Jimi Hendrix at Woodstock, and there'll be like a thing. Or I want the Slash on Appetite for Destruction, there'll be a thing. And so that's a thing that he knows about and I don't know about, and I'm not going to learn about it.
It's just because his follow-up question was,
are we frozen again?
Oh, can you hear me? Check.
I see me.
I think we're freezing again. Some sort of technical delay. I think it's the internet on your end. Maybe maybe he's having some sort of check. Tom, nope. He is frozen.
I cannot. I'm here.
There we go. There we go.
Here. Yep. Not sure what's happening.
I think they're saying it's the internet on your side. So
don't blame Tom.
Okay.
I'm not going to blame you.
Sounds like I'm getting blamed here with my full bars. I know you want to. I know some. Yeah, I know the guy who's paid to be the tech guy on your side said that.
He's laughing.
I don't know. Look, I love a nice union tech guy, but they'll say that sort of shady stuff. I got full bars over here, guy. Okay, let me tell you.
We're gonna take it out of his paycheck.
Yeah.
The follow-up question was, so yeah, I guess you answered it. Instead of looking around full rigs of gear, gigs, you're just moving to more natural DSPs, he says.
Yeah, this is some of that guitar nerd shit that
Guitar
I
nerd
don't know anything
Okay.
about.
So
Yeah, it's a way that people. It's a great way that people create and have access to a lot of sounds. I am a full-on Luddite when it comes to that. I literally the same amp head and the same cabinet and the same pedals for 33 years.
and you tour with those.
Yeah.
With that equipment.
Yeah. I have duplicates of it, but it's all the same. It's identical. It's the same stuff.
So interesting.
Yeah.
Hey guys, if you're tuning in, we have Tom Morello with us, guitar player, activist, good friend of mine. Please donate to his charity, jailguitardoors.org. It's a fantastic organization that helps out inmates in jail and prison. You can just donate right now, or you can download Fireside on your iPhone or iOS device and do the after party. We're going to have Tom for 10 minutes taking Q&As from people. You get a minute with Tom. It's a minimum of $100 donation to jailguitardoors.org to ask Tom whatever question you want to ask. Keep it respectful. Keep it in play. Don't ask stupid questions. Don't come up here and saying dumb things.
Sometimes people can't help themselves on that.
Well, it's the internet, so they can hide behind closed doors.
Yeah, they
right?
can't help. They can't help themselves.
I do have a question for you.
Yeah.
I used to DJ. I started when I was like 14. I was heavily into like battle scratching and all that stuff.
Sure.
And I remember listening to you like playing the guitar and hitting the kill switch and making it sound like a turntable. Did you have any influence or inspiration?
Absolutely.
From the
Absolutely.
turntables?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was for me it was like Jam Master Jay and Terminator X were like the ones that I was inspired by. It was during a time where you guys
freezing again. We're frozen again. Sorry, guys.
I'm back. Yeah, sorry. I don't know what's happening.
There you are.
Okay. Yeah, I was saying that it was during a time where people were saying that like the guitar was becoming outdated. Why? Because DJs could sample guitars. We don't need guitar players anymore because DJs can now do what guitar players do. A lot of guitars have already been played. We'll just take a bunch of guitars that have been played and sort of recontextualize them in songs, from Wild Thing to whatever. Yeah. And so I started thinking, well, let's see, what if I'm able to do what DJs do? I'm going to try to put them out of business. And so with my bare hands and with my, with my old Marshall cabinet over there, I began practicing scratching and like the bomb squat, the textures on those Public Enemy songs.
Yeah.
And then sort of like groups like Crystal Method and Prodigy. And I wasn't practicing what guitar players were playing. I was practicing what DJs were creating, and creating a whole sort of different vocabulary of sounds on the electric guitar.
Super cool. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, and then we'll wrap up and ask your best and favorite Hollywood tale when you're ready. And then we'll log you off and then bring you back on a Fireside. Okay. Well, I was going to ask you. You were teaching a master class at one point.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, do they reach out to you or do you go to them and say, hey, I want to do it? Or
they reached out, and I think that they're just trying to get this kind of great library of stuff. And, and I hadn't really heard of it. I don't heard of it sort of peripherally, but they're like, so it's, we've got Martin Scorsese doing the movie one and Steph Curry doing the basketball one. And we'd like you to do the guitar. I'm like, what? Awesome. I'm like, but the thing is, like, I didn't know anything about it. So I agreed to it. And then, it's Tuesday and the thing is on Thursday, and my manager calls up and they're like, so are you ready for this masterclass thing? I'm like, yeah, I just think I'm going to like do a phoner or something like that. They're like, it's 3 days of shooting. It's 12-hour shoots each day. And wow. it's like a detailed thing. I was like, well, I better prepare for that one. Wow. So I did draw on my experience as a teacher and like some of the bad guitar lessons I had and my experience as a teacher. And I took it really, really deadly seriously. And I think it came out good. So
yeah, but a lot of people loved your master class.
Yeah, it was, and it's such great company to be in. I think it's sort of a really cool idea to have people
absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we're here with Tom Morello. Go to his organization and donate. It's jail guitar, gosh,
jailguitardoors.org.
.org.
And they provide instruments to inmates as rehabilitation tools. And it's a great I've played shows for that organization and played shows in prisons. What we basically do is we go into the prison, we play a show, and we leave the guitars behind with a program that helps them, helps the recidivism rate, and helps make them better people when they come out. And so I think that's a very worthwhile cause. So check it out.
Go to the there's the website right up there in the comments. Donate. In roughly 15-20 minutes, we're going to log off here and jump onto Fireside. Download the app now. It's Fireside on your iPhone or iOS device. First 10 people to donate a minimum of $100 to this organization can ask Tom a question, and let's keep it respectful, everybody.
Some guy out there's like, I got $100. I'm gonna ask whatever I want. You're gonna have my $100.
We'll keep the 100, and then we're gonna pop them off.
That's right.
Quick fun fact, and then let's just get into your best Hollywood tale. Fun fact: myself and Tom were both in the movie Iron Man.
That's correct.
We kickstarted the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
John Favreau, who's a mutual friend of ours, cast us as terrorists in the cave.
Yes.
So if you're watching Iron Man very carefully, you will see me and you will see Tom.
Yeah. Well, not only
toting guns.
Not only are we in that movie, I am the first person that Iron Man kills the Marvel Universe.
That's right.
As we are creeping around in that cave. So if you remember the first movie, like Man's in there Tony Stark's making his Iron Man suit, and then there's an explosion, and then the terrorists come creeping in to see like what happened in there, and one guy goes that way and I go this way, and then you see me looking this way, and like the light, Iron Man's light lights up behind me. I'm like, what? And then he knocks he like, isn't that good acting? And then he like knocks me across the I did my own stunts. I got paid like a stuntman rate, which is more. And let me tell you, they don't pay stuntman enough.
They had you strapped to some like wire, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That's right.
Let me let you in behind like the Hollywood behind the scenes. You know how they do those stunts where like people fly across the room? They fly across the room and it hurts. I got like five guys. I'm like in a harness that's strapped to me like this. It straps my back, coming out the back of my thing. And so then Iron Man punches me this way, and five dudes yank me like through the air onto this mat, and they're like, So make sure that you, I was holding a gun at the time. Make sure that the gun you have doesn't chip a tooth, and make sure you don't swallow your tongue. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, thanks, John. But anyway, it's all in celluloid history now, right?
Check us out in the first Iron Man movie.
Check us out in Iron Man.
Be sure to donate to Tom's charity, which is up in the comments here. Download Fireside immediately. Jump on and join us for this 10-minute after party with Tom. He's going to take your questions. First 10 people to donate minimum of $100 get to talk to Tom for a minute. And be sure to check out Atlas Underground Flood.
Yep, and Atlas Underground Fire. Two records out back to back. They're really amazing, man. The collaboration, I'm in my head a little bit trying to figure out how you orchestrated all this through a virtual pandemic, and it's really, really impressive. So kudos to you on that. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And I guess let's just wrap it up with your best Hollywood tale. And then
all right. Well, I gave this a lot of thought, Ahmed, and which means maybe I didn't give it that much. I didn't really give it that much thought. I just came up with one that I thought off the top of my head. So I moved to Hollywood in 1986 and have amassed a lot of Hollywood tales during that time. But I wanted to have one that you were sort of at least tangentially involved in. Prior to having kids, there were a lot of parties at my house. We would have, it was like the spot on, Halloween night and on, New Year's Eve and on 4th of July and whatnot, and these really, really big blowouts, there was never like security, and it was always just super fun and a really, really great, really, really great memories of those times. Where it started to turn a little bit was when people started getting BlackBerries. And now you could be somewhere and communicate elsewhere with the click of a switch like that. Right. So for my 40th birthday party, that was really sort of like the last of the big parties for this reason. It was, there was a time somewhere around midnight where I looked around and I knew only about a fifth of the people that were at my house. Like
I remember that.
It was all like total strangers, like
Yeah.
because people would go there and they'd say like, "Oh my gosh, fleas here! You got to get up here right now," you know, or
Right.
whatever,
Right.
or whatever. And so our kind of egalitarian, no security policy did us in. But so there were two things that happened that night which were notable. One was there were always like bands at my house that I didn't like. I sort of recognized from MTV, but I didn't know them. Like somebody just brought them. And this was a band, and I don't want to disparage this band unnecessarily because I'm not sure it was really them, but it was one of these bands that was famous at the time, like Jet or something like that.
Right,
Jet.
right.
Yeah. And I'm in my living room of my house, and there's a dude from Jet smoking a cigarette. I'm like, "Oh, hey, I'm sorry, man. Could you not smoke in the house?" And he looks at me like disdainfully, like, "Who are you to tell Jet not to smoke in a home?" And I'm like, "It's my house."
It's
He's
your
like,
house.
"Oh," and he like flicks an ash. I'm like, this is the beginning. So I walk outside. I'm immediately then there's this woman, you know, standing out in the backyard, and I hear her on the phone. She's like, "You have to come up here right now. Smashing Pumpkins are here." And I'm like, "Do you know whose house you're at?" And she's like, "No." I'm like, "It's my house." And Smashing Pumpkins left. Get off the damn phone. So finally, in this like 90 seconds of realizing that we're never going to have another party again at my house, I'm sort of enjoying the weirdness. And I come up with this guy and like, "Hey, dude, whose house are we at?" And he's like, "Tony Morello." And I'm like, "Really? Tony Morello? We're at Tony Morello?" So he's like, "Yeah, I was just jamming with him out in the studio. He's not as good as people say he is."
Oh my god.
And then later that night, we closing about 4 a.m. We like close the gate to the front house there, and there's like a gang of fools outside. Like, "I was invited." I'm like, "It's my house. You were not invited." We're like medieval times, like pouring hot pitch over the side, keeping
Shooting
away.
people
Anyway,
with the
and that was the
arrows.
last. After that, since then, it's all just been running charades and board games.
I do remember that night now that you bring it up because I believe I was there, and I do remember quite a few strangers were just kind of lingering around. And
Yeah,
I remember the cigarette incident.
yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, like,
And there was like a gang of people outside, like, you know, because you're right. Back then, that's when people started communicating, and within minutes, you just get a flash
right.
flood of people like showing
That's right.
up.
That's right.
Well,
Anyway.
the parties became a lot milder.
A lot milder after that.
Running charades and
Yeah.
and barbecuing.
Yeah, exactly. We had to sage the place quite frequently in order to get out.
Well, you did used to throw some really fun parties, so
yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna it's 10 to 4. So do you want to just check out for 5-10 minutes, take a break,
Whatever.
and we'll
If it's important. I mean, I'm do whatever. Ahmed, this is my time with you. So whatever.
You're the best, man.
If you want to check out for 10 minutes, we'll be back at 10 minutes on the thing and do the Q and the fan Q&A. That's totally fine with me.
So we'll just do one quick last plug. Please go to Fireside app right now on your iPhone or iOS device. Download Fireside. It's one word. Do it now because they have to accept you. Not anybody can just get on. They have to vet you and accept you. So just the link is right there. Firesidechat.com/Ahmed Ahmed. First 10 people to donate $100 minimum. You can always donate more. We encourage more, but if you want to donate a minimum of $100 to the charity of Tom's choice, which is Jail Guitar Doors. Excuse me. .org. Jailguitardoors.org. We can only take a maximum of 10 people in the studio audience on Fireside. So the first 10 to donate a minimum of $100 to that organization, you get a minute with Tom Morello. Ask him whatever you want. Like I said, please keep it respectful, and that's it. And then just go to the website in general. If you can't afford 100, donate 10, donate 5. We'll take anything you can offer. Please follow Tom Morello on Instagram and Twitter at @TMorello. He's very active on Twitter and social media. Check out Atlas Underground Flood, Atlas Underground Fire. And any last closing words before we pop you off?
No, just thanks, Ahmed. I mean, you've been a good friend for years. My parentage on my dad's side is Kenyan, so Ahmed is as an Egyptian's fellow African brother, like stranded the community in exile here in Hollywood, and so he's always just been a great dude and a good friend, and I just let you know I appreciate you, Ahmed, and so like after having kids and stuff, a lot of your friends sort of you kind of go different ways, but Ahmed always hits me up, is like, hey, let's do something. I'm like, I'm too tired, but I do appreciate the fact that you always think of me and reach out.
I gotta ask.
A lot of love for you, man.
Thank you, man. Same here. I appreciate you. You've been a great friend over the course of these years, and I know after you've had kids, the Thursday night boys' night out was became to limit itself. But once the kids are grown up, we'll have to get you back out into the city and
exactly. Sounds great.
Hey, brother, love you, respect
right,
you.
Love you too. Thanks, guys. So I'll see you. I'll see some of you or whatever at 4 o'clock on this Fireside chat thing.
Fireside app. Download the app now. Tom will take the first 10 people and talk to you one-on-one. Donate $100 to the jailguitardoors.org. And just follow us on Instagram at Ahmed Comedy it's Blake Bartee, but it's B_LA_Bartee. It's up there in the comments. Tom, you're the greatest. Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Peace.
Talk to you soon on Fireside. Have a good one. Peace. All right. That went better than I thought. What do you think?
Well, it was good. Yeah. It was great.
Tom, we're still live. So I'd like to wrap up in a couple minutes just so we can set up Fireside and get going at 4. But hey, guys, if you are, that's right, we'll plug that. If you are paying attention, still on here, still watching, thank you so much. I want to thank all the people here at Jam in the Van. Jack Higgins, our creative director, Wolf Ramirez, our videographer and editor, the 2 Jakes who run this place. It's an awesome multiplex with all sorts of cool artistic music, comedy things happening here. Just go to jaminthevan.com, and it's right here in the heart of West LA. It's a really cool spot. They have shows here every weekend. I personally, myself and Blake, along with a handful of other comics, Jen Sturger, Joe Urell, Susie Sitcom, Nikki Paris, we will be at the Irvine Improv at the Irvine Spectrum here in California this Thursday, December 9th. 8 p.m. show, 7 p.m. doors. Go to improv.com. Can we put that up there, by the way? Improv.com /Irvine. You'll see me, Ahmed Ahmed. And tickets are $20, but if you type in promo code Ahmed, AHMED, they're half off, $10 tickets. Yep. It's a really big venue. It seats 500 people. It's a beautiful venue, but the more the merrier. If you guys can get out there, grab your tickets right now online. Just go to improv.com /Irvine. Ahmed Ahmed will be there this Thursday, December 9th, 8 p.m. doors. Come have some laughs with us. It's going to be awesome. Like I said, Blake will be there. A couple other comics will be on the lineup. I'm doing an hour. I'm also doing a funny multimedia video of an incident that happened with me years ago where someone called 911 on me over a joke I told in Florida. And so we have the actual call, and my friend animated it. My friend Tom Winkler, who's have you guys seen this thing? Maybe next week we'll actually play the call.
Yeah, that'd be good.
If you just Google or YouTube Ahmed Ahmed 911 animated call, you'll see it. It's really funny. It's the actual guy talking to the 911 operator about me. It's animated. It's hilarious. Tom Winkler spent 40 hours animating this thing. He used to be an animator for The Simpsons, so he's like really good. He has that Simpsons kind of, animation humor to the cartoon. So, anything else we should plug? That's it. Follow us on Instagram. Follow Jam in the Van on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. Blake Bartee. My name's Ahmed Ahmed. You are watching Hollywood Tales. We are here every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live in studio, and then this podcast will live on the Jam in the Van YouTube channel. So if you missed it, download it later and check it out. And in the meantime, we're going to log off, say bye for now, and we will see you on Fireside at 4 p.m. with, once again, Tom Morello and the after party. First 10 people to donate $100 to jailguitardoors.org get to talk to Tom one-on-one.
Awesome.
Hey,
good pod.
Appreciate you guys. See you next week.